Jane Finkle is a career consultant and the author of The Introvert's Complete Career Guide, From Landing a Job to Surviving, Thriving, and Moving on Up. I thought she'd be the perfect person to talk to in these days of COVID-19 when we are all worrying about our careers. Hi, Jane.
Hi, Lynn. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. Nice to see you.
Great to see you too.
Thanks. Jane, this is a really tough time in the work world right now, isn't it?
Definitely. And, I certainly want to acknowledge how challenging it is to, especially people are being laid off, furloughed. People are at home with young children,
Yes.
trying to manage their work and pay attention and school their children. And some people were in the midst of looking for a new opportunity.
Right.
And now feel as if the doors are closed.
Well,
so,
yeah, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I was going to say that's kind of how I felt, that everything was on freeze during this time. But from what you've said, it sounds like it doesn't need to be.
Well, I do think a crisis is an opportunity, and I don't want to minimize how difficult it is, but I certainly feel like there are things that we can do to help our career survive in this time of Corona.
I'm really, really glad to hear that, and I'm sure a lot of people will. So maybe we can talk about some of the specific ideas that you have.
Well, I think one thing, just a place to start is, we have a lot of time for reflection and solitude. So it's an opportunity to think carefully about your career, what you like, what you don't like, where are you talented, what might you like to do in the future. And, there's this process of self-assessment, and you might actually write down values, skills, what you're interested in, because I think that act of writing helps us organize our thoughts.
Yes.
And against this self-assessment, I think it's really important to check out the market, because we have lots of ideas, but we don't want to come up with ideas where it doesn't look like the market is going to support it.
So it wouldn't be good for me to say, like, I want to be the next Oprah?
Oh, well, you might, but you might have to, some other options.
Something in between.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
Then I think that probably when we talk about practical tools, probably the most important thing that you can do for your career is to supercharge your network.
Okay.
The way I think of networking is it's a fuel that powers your career. And it doesn't matter if you're looking for a job or feel like you're safe at your current position. They've done so many surveys, and it's something like 75% or above. People find jobs and new opportunities through connections. So it's really important to do that. And we're lucky now because we have social media.
Yes.
So we
would be so isolated without it.
It's true. So we can rely on LinkedIn to find some new contacts.
Okay.
You can also, many colleges and universities have alumni networks, and they're often underutilized. And so alumni often like to reach out and help people. You've got this sentimental connection.
Yes.
And also professional organizations, that's their role to educate people in the field, but also the public. So often they list members of their association. So that's another way. And then I say, think outside the box. So I had one client who was reading the Philadelphia Business Journal, and she was reading about a startup, and it really interested her, and they mentioned the CEO. She emailed the CEO and said, I read that article, sounds fascinating what you're doing. Even if you don't have any opportunities right now, I'd love to meet with you, learn more about your background and about the company. And what happened is he responded, didn't have a job right away, and 2 months later he hired her. So,
really? Wow.
Yeah. So I think it pays to think a little bit outside the box, be creative. Even on LinkedIn, sometimes you could read an article that somebody wrote and make a comment and start to build relationships.
So can you build a relationship starting now?
Absolutely.
And maybe do it virtually, or?
Yeah, you can do it virtually. Well, first of all, you could find some contacts, as we said before, through LinkedIn and just write a note. The other thing is, people are posting information and articles online, and you might want to comment on somebody's article,
Yes.
and maybe that person responds, and you start to, develop a relationship online that may work out in the future in some way. So.
Okay. And LinkedIn, it sounds like you're a fan, that you think that's a really
Yeah,
good
I think
practice.
I am. I think that actually, people think of LinkedIn because they post jobs, but
Right.
I think the true power of LinkedIn is you can so easily make connections.
Okay.
Because I think before we would rely on voicemail and then people don't respond.
Yes.
But I think with social media, people have time to do that. And you don't have to play the telephone tag. So I think
That's,
LinkedIn is a very powerful tool.
yes. I certainly find that I am writing longer emails these days. I feel like I'm having a nice correspondence with someone, as opposed to just in the past, maybe I would have felt, oh, I have too many emails. I don't have time for that.
Right. I think especially now we're all hungry for interaction.
Yes.
So if we have to do it online, that's fine.
Okay.
One other quick idea is if you are working now, you might gather a group of people in your field and have a Zoom meeting.
Oh,
That way you kind of learn more about what they're going through. Maybe people have different ideas, but I think it just, supports people too. So.
great idea. Okay. All right. And what do we do with our resumes right now?
Yeah, resumes. I think it's a great time to polish it up. And I think the thing about resumes is everybody has a different angle on how it should be done.
Yes.
But I think basically if it's well organized and it has an attractive presentation and it's easy to follow, you're on track. But I would say the most important thing these days on a resume is reflecting your accomplishments. So employers obviously want to know what you do, but they're far more interested in results. So it's very important to go back and review some of those things. And results could be introducing something new, initiating a new project, solving a problem, increasing revenues, streamlining costs. And if you can bring innovation, that is something that employers are really looking for. Solving a problem and innovation. If you can give examples of that, it'll light up your resume.
It sounds great. This is making me feel that there can be a lot of optimism out there now and ways to use this hiatus as an opportunity.
Right. I think it's a way to stay in touch with people, but also do some planning. So then when things start to open up again, you're all set to go.
That sounds great. Thank you, Jane. I have to go get to work now. I have to go create a Zoom with people in my field.
Right. One other thing I should mention, because we've been talking about LinkedIn, is
Yes.
once you update your resume, you want to go back into your LinkedIn profile and make sure that's up to date. And
Okay.
that's extremely important because sometimes employers are scanning through that profile. The other thing is you can be a little bit more creative on LinkedIn. You can attach videos, or if you've published some articles or you're working on some interesting project. So, that's another way to really get ready for when things start to open up.
Okay, I'm guessing a lot of people are underutilizing LinkedIn.
I do work with clients. They seem to know what it is, but they don't know what it's useful for. And I went to a conference several years ago where one of the senior leaders of LinkedIn was there, and he said, if you're not on LinkedIn, you don't exist. Quite arrogant, right? But I think professionally now, there's some truth to that. So even, I remember being on a search committee, and we were going through resumes, and everybody went online to see if the applicants were on LinkedIn.
Yes.
Because how can you lead an organization without knowing about the power of social media?
Okay, well, I'm very relieved, Jane, that before I spoke to you, I did update my LinkedIn profile, and now I'm going to go back to it and see what else I can do there.
Wow, good for you.
Okay. Well, thank you for your great advice, but more than that, thank you for your optimism. I think that really helps a lot.
Mhm.
And I think I might come back to you again with some more questions.
Great, terrific. Well, I
Okay.
think, it's just important to balance. We live at a time where we are worried about the future and there are unknowns. But the problem is that with the unknowns, we can't control it. So we can only control what we know now
Yes.
and try to plan somewhat for the future.
Okay. That's very wise advice. Thank you. Thanks for your time.
Okay.